I don't remember ever not believing in Jesus. Even if I grew up like significantly like more conservative, like my parents made sure to instill that in me. There was definitely the recognition that we weren't perfect and that we were sinners, and that we were in need of forgiveness and that we didn't deserve it, And so like we understood that element of grace was there. But I grew up with a lot of shame in my life, and I developed like a pornography addiction when I was like 8, like in the 4th grade type of thing. And for a long time after that, probably like into like my late teens and everything like that, I felt a lot of shame. I don't know if I would put it in a sense like I always felt like God was just like waiting for me to mess up. It was almost like I was waiting for me to mess up because I didn't really have an understanding of grace. I felt like my parents were always waiting for me to mess up. I felt like my teachers were always waiting for me to mess up, and I started to have that outlook on myself. It was probably actually when I started to come to the youth group here. I would have been just coming into high school. I had a really hard time in my life. I had gone to a different high school than like all of the friends I had grown up with because my parents were really concerned about like the influences I was surrounded by, rightfully so. But I was at a really lonely point in my life, and the first like week or two of high school, a friend invited me to youth group here, and I came, and it was awesome and just connected really, really well. And it felt genuine, it felt authentic, and it didn't feel forced. It was just like, here's God and He loves you, and you don't have to do anything to earn it. Grace as a concept is like so hard to pin down for some people, and it was really hard for me to pin down, and I feel like I'm still coming to a greater understanding of it. But like I think over the last year, over the last 2 years, it really diminished the sense of like shame that I felt. And if I would do something wrong and I would still recognize that it was wrong or whatever, I wouldn't feel the shame for as long. And so it was like this gradual thing where I didn't feel as ashamed. It's like I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. There's nothing I can do to be good enough, but God loves me anyway. And He saved me and He wants me and He loves me. And it's like, man, how do you respond to that? Like there's no other way you can respond to that but to follow Him if you really believe that. So understanding the truth of your insufficiency but the grace of God's love, like that changes your life. God doesn't pull any punches when it comes to revealing the inadequacies of the people that He uses, like David killing Uriah and sleeping with Bathsheba. Like that's a messed up circumstance, and that's the truth of the circumstance. But you read to the end of the story and he repents and God forgives him, and God still uses his lineage like He promised, like David messing up doesn't forfeit the promise that He gave David, and it's like that with us too, God's grace. It relieves us from the condemnation of the truth. And so then the purpose of the truth changes. The purpose of the truth becomes a directional guide, not a death sentence. I still feel convicted by the truth, but I don't feel condemned by the truth. And that grace and that love encourages me to go towards God, whereas, if you feel condemned by the truth, like you don't want to go towards someone you feel is condemning you. Like that doesn't feel like a person you can confide in. That doesn't feel like a relationship that is secure. That feels like a place of shame and a place of insecurity. It's like the truth is here to convict you, to point you in the right direction, and the grace is here to forgive you and encourage you and have a relationship with you. And that's what God is. He's both. And you need both. You can't just have one or the other. They complete each other.